people should be seeking out areas with business improvement districts or special improvement districts, and they should be running to them not only to invest in real estate, but to open new businesses. I think it's awesome.
And these are things that people don't even know that they're available to them.
So, we are making bank in business districts today. You like that?
I
bank.
like bank. That's my son's word.
I know. We have John Peters here, who's the executive director of the Main Street Business Alliance in Hackensack, New Jersey. And we are going to talk about special improvement districts, business improvement districts, and how you as a real estate investor can get literally hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of services, right?
Yeah, sure.
Through being in one of these districts.
Awesome. Welcome, John. Tell us, start off by giving us like an overview. What is a business improvement district?
It's a public-private partnership, in this case with us, with the city of Hackensack. So we represent 160 business, property owners, 375 businesses, pretty much the length of Main Street and halfway down each side street, if you will. And we work with the city, and we provide all the services in that district that a city would normally service. So short of police, they do all the police, but we do all the landscaping, all the sanitation. We outsource all that stuff. We do the marketing, the PR, the events, the storefront improvement grants that we give out, the facade grants that we give out. There's
Holiday
tons.
decorations.
Holiday decorations.
So you're like the manager of the street, so to speak.
You could say that.
You're managing what's happening. You're managing the vibe. You're like the
trying to stay on it,
trying
right?
to do everything.
We walk down the street. We take pictures of everything that's broken. We have direct contact into the city. We get stuff fixed. Some things are easier than others to accomplish.
So I have some history here. So obviously, or not obviously, but I love business improvement districts, and I happen to be a vice chairman of the business improvement district that John is running. And I have to say, our district's been in place for, I guess, over 20 years almost. Yeah, 22, and John's by far doing a fantastic job. We're making so much headway.
Congratulations, John.
But other states have business improvement districts. And Noelle, I know you were on a business improvement district in Newark at one point.
I've been in several, the Lower East Side BID and the downtown in New York City and the Newark downtown district.
So just so everybody understands, how many business improvement districts are in Jersey? I know, John,
70.
70.
Yeah, there's about 70.
Okay. So that means
now they come and go, by the way. Just because you get categorized, just because one exists, every once in a while the city will say, you know what, we no longer need it. It served its purpose. Or let's get a new one, or let's branch something off. We need another one. Or we've spoken about it. Do we expand it? There's plenty that goes into it.
So Jersey has 70 districts. What I've learned as a young real estate investor was that's where the action is, because usually when you have a business improvement district, it means that there's people that actually care about an area. It usually means that the council or the people running that town are looking to spend money and improve and get an area really on the map. So that's what's happening in Hackensack. So, John, why did you find this business improvement district something you wanted to get involved in, and what do you think makes it special in Hackensack, New Jersey?
So I was born and raised in Fort Lee, and whenever you would think about Hackensack, it was really for a specific purpose. You would go to the electronics store. I think I got my first mobile car phone at Sears, the one that you plugged in. They had a bag.
I remember Sears.
Okay, but that was pretty much it. But there's so much that has happened here. I mean, it really kudos to the mayor and deputy mayor and all them for having accomplished all this over the past 10 years, but in the past 5, it's been outstanding with the amount of growth. So I have to be honest. Initially, I thought, well, okay, I'll just come in and this will be easy at this point, right? It's on the 80-yard line, but that's the good news. The bad news is it's on the 80-yard line. You can still fumble the ball, regrettably using a
also, isn't it like the last 10% is harder than the whole 80% or something?
And this is when. It's funny. I'll walk up and down the street with someone from City Hall, and I'll say, "Oh, geez, look at that! That thing needs painting." And they'll say, "Oh, you should have seen it before." I'm like, "You don't need me to see it before. You need me to come in now with fresh eyes and critique the heck out of everything, because that's what's going to make the real difference."
I have a
is
couple
that
of those I
last.
could show you.
You think so? Yeah.
How integral is the S.I.D or the B.I.D, your S.I.D, Special
S.I.D, yeah,
Improvement
we're S.I.D,
District, in bringing in, like, there's a new Pliables, a Salad Works, like all of these things that people who work and live in all of the new apartment buildings that are going up are really interested in. How much do you work in bringing in those big chains? Because I know in Newark, they did a lot with working with the big chains.
So, and we have entire business recruitment programs. That's
Okay.
not to say that every business that shows up here
Came from that.
that.
Right.
But as soon as we hear someone that's coming in, we jump all over it. We help them right away. I mean, as soon as someone applies for something, some sort of permit or something like that, I immediately get notified. And we're in touch with, okay, can we help you with your sign? Can we help you? You're looking to improve the outside. Let's talk about marketing. Let's talk about launching. Let's talk about all that kind of stuff so that you're not waiting for that at the last minute and trying to figure it out. Now,
Yep.
someone like a Pliables,
Which is a franchise, so it's being done by a person, right?
Which is, I mean, it's a cult, really, right?
Yes.
So they have that down to a science. So they don't need a whole lot of help. But strangely enough, they actually want to really get involved in the community.
Yeah.
I think it's great that we're getting these chains. And one of the things that drew me to this district 20 years ago when I started investing in Hackensack was the fact that there was a business improvement district. And if you're a young investor or an investor of any type, if you can get into a business improvement district area and start buying property at an early age, I think it's a no-brainer. And I think if you get to learn the community, learn the people that are in the business improvement district board, understand who the players are, that's going to give you a great indication of where that area is going to go. And when I first started investing in downtown Hackensack, I didn't really understand that. So I was like, okay, cool, there's this bid thing. You know, what is a bid? I didn't know. They didn't teach you in college what a bid was.
Nope,
At least
no one knows
not
what
in
it
the
is.
programs I was in. And I just started buying stuff by accident. And then when I started to learn what a bid district is, and then some of the members saw that I was doing stuff, they reached out to me.
Sure.
It just was a game changer. And I think that people should be seeking out areas with business improvement districts or special improvement districts, and they should be running to them not only to invest in real estate, but to open new businesses. I think it's awesome.
Can we take it a step back, and can you tell me how your office is funded? Because if you're an
Great
investor,
question.
you're going to want to know, how is this being paid for?
Right. Well, I think that the first misconception is that it's a tax. It's not a tax. It's an assessment per se.
And the difference is?
Okay. The difference is it's still collected the
Zero
same way
difference.
by the same people in the same process. But the reality is it's based on the assessment's based on the value of the property. The property owner pays it. The businesses get involved in that, and there's a figure that comes up. We have to put together a budget. We submit it to the city for approval. We very often don't agree straight away, which is actually a really important part of the process. Then they approve the budget, and we're off and running for the rest of the year. So, I mean, I can tell you that I can't actually say that. I can't tell you how many calls I get from businesses that are just outside the district
Who want to be a part of it.
who are like, "Well, I saw what you did for XYZ. I'd love to do that. How do we do
I
that?
get in?
Yeah.
How do I get in?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you're 100 yards off, you're 3 blocks off, it's not in my purview, unfortunately." And I have to be really careful about that because the people that are in that district are the ones that are paying.
Yep.
Yeah.
The
for
landlords
everything.
are paying, the tenants are paying. It's crazy.
So what I'm hearing is there's an assessment, not a tax. It's a tax, but
It's definitely a tax.
but there is an assessment, and the property owners are responsible for that assessment, whatever that may be, every year. Correct?
The property owners and the business.
But they pass it
Yes,
on to the
yes.
businesses
So
through
it's
rents
just
and stuff like
collected
that.
like the regular
Just like-
taxes are, and then
Correct.
it's in theory. I think what is ours? It's like 10% of our regular taxes. Or
It is. It comes out, and it's not a set amount either, right? So when the budget gets submitted, then the city takes a look at it as a whole and says, okay, this is how it affects everybody, because we have to be careful too. We don't want to, kill the big guy, kill the little guy. It's got to be a nice, feel-good number. And quite frankly, when I first came in, when I was asking for things, I'm like, listen, let's do the basics first.
Okay.
Right.
You guys are falling down a little bit here. We're glad you're here, but let's do that, and then let's talk next year on some other things.
And people don't mind paying it providing, they see the services.
Right.
So,
Correct.
you know, one of the things John has done is he's made things more visible. So the changes are more visible. He's talking to people more. He's sharing with the members what's actually happening. So there's less questions as to, well, I see this 10% extra, but what am I getting for it? So years back, that question was always there because things were not transparent. And John's doing a great job of sharing that with people. People are starting to see new events. People are starting to see new signs coming up, banners, all that good stuff. So I think that these are things that an investor should be watching out for, because it's really the way to make bank, as you opened with. Bank.
What are the things that you do? What kind of services do you provide the businesses and the buildings within your district?
So, I mean, if you start from the very basic.
Let's start from the ground up.
Okay, so there's people. When there's people, there's garbage. So we arrange for an outsourced company to come and pick up the garbage. Now, that'll flow from one person to 3 people to 5 people, depending on the needs of that. We increase the quantity of the number of days that it was picked up. We're increase the number of times it gets picked up in those days. All depends on where it is. And frankly, some areas need a little bit more pickup than other areas. So that's the one.
And that's a big one. So I know in Newark, or if you look at a big one like the Times Square Alliance, you see people cleaning 24/7 in Times Square. And of course it's Times Square, but then they have their own in-house people, their own in-house clean and green team. But that's huge, because if it's clean, it's more inviting to be around, right?
Well, and from a selfish perspective, I mean, I think the biggest complaint I was getting in my first 2 or 3 months was texts of pictures going, look at this piece of garbage on the ground. This is dirty.
Right.
This is dirty. And you can't get beyond that. You can't.
Was it Eric texting you?
Partially. Yeah. You can't get beyond that, though. It doesn't matter. Anything else that you do, there's not a whole lot of point to it.
And I think one of the things John brought to the table is a lot of it's education. If you don't educate your members, you know, when someone has to throw out a mattress, they just sometimes throw it on the sidewalk. And I think, what's the weirdest thing you found on the sidewalk, John?
So move out day.
Oh God.
Okay, you could just imagine. Anytime you have to clean an apartment,
right?
And in fairness, the tenants know that they have to be out by a certain time.
They're like, we're out of here.
And they're like, I can't leave it in here because they don't want that. Right. So it goes outside. When it goes outside, it goes to always some place that looks convenient. And there's a couple of places that look more convenient than others. So we have to make sure that someone patrols that area garbage-wise and it gets picked up. But to Eric's point, when everybody was complaining about it and said, okay, let's start giving tickets. I'm like, hang on, you haven't educated people enough. And honestly, so we came out with the processes and said, here's how the garbage gets picked up. Here's when it gets picked up. Here's what you put where. And by the way, we not only did it in English, now we're doing it in Spanish too, because we're up to 50% of the population here speaks Spanish. Right. So why wouldn't we do that? Why wouldn't? And then, and in fairness, if you look at the city website where all the information is, it's for entire Hackensack. Right. It's color coded and all these different types of things. The people don't need that are here. They just need the 2 days that they have to know about. So we've simplified things. We put it in different languages to try and just at least start with the education. And frankly, we went door to door and handed out flyers and said, here's how you handle the garbage. Okay. You can't put it here. If you do it, if you have these items, it goes out here. And, it was a bit rudimentary, but guess what?
So that's just like
90% of the problems went away.
That broken window theory. Yep. I think didn't one of the New York City mayors do it, where every time you fix a broken window?
Giuliani. It was starting with the small things. The small things stop people from doing the big things. If you crack down on small crimes like jumping the turnstile, then eventually it's going to work its way up to the big crimes. And it works.
It totally works. I remember years back, I always felt safe, even though it was a little eerie at times walking down Main Street. But my wife was never 100% comfortable. And when I would have her at times, she used to work in the city, so she would meet me. She'd have the bus drop her off on Main Street, Hackensack. And I'd always keep an eye out, like, where is she? What's happening? Totally different today. The ladies that I speak to have no issues walking around at nighttime. I'm not talking about 3 a.m, but
no, I was with someone yesterday who was going to be doing some blogging and things for us and answering. So I said, I need you to answer these questions. I said, just out of curiosity, tell me about how you feel about safety. She's like, what do you mean?
Right, it's a non-issue.
It's a non-issue.
Right.
Yeah.
And she
And
goes,
that's
I
where
walk
you're
my
trying to
dogs.
get, right.
I never look over my shoulder. I'm like, well, hang on. Are they Mastiffs or Dobermans? Because then that's a different. But they're not.
They're little foo-foo dogs, right.
So it's not even an issue for her, which says a lot about what's happened here.
Well, there's marketing also, and that's another biggie that BIDs and SIDs do. And you're always into the marketing and things that are going on here in Hackensack, the events, everything, the visuals. Tell us about what you guys do with the marketing and how that benefits not only the property owners, but the businesses.
So a lot of the businesses would come and say, "Hey, we're thinking about working with influencers," and they're sort of a little all over the place. I'm like, "Hang on, just don't everybody relax, because you start talking to the wrong people. Influencers are not all created equally, as you know.
True.
There's plenty." And I said, "Let me test 5 of them." So I would pick up the phone and call some people I knew, and as soon as they said, "Oh, great, you just have to speak to my agent," I said, "Thanks very much."
Click.
That's out of budget. Click. Right? And then as the other end of the spectrum is, I was always wanted to get into this. Thanks. This would be fun. I'm like, well, okay. Well, as soon as you get a little more experience on your
Call
belt.
us on your third road.
Now, all of a
Third
sudden,
road.
there's a bunch of people in the middle who actually have a really good following. Let's say 30, 40, 50,000 followers who are personable. And they're not all models and they're not all this and that, but they really want to come in and have a really great, show people what a great experience it is. So we did a bunch of tests. And we did in themes. So, the first one that we did was nightlife.
Okay.
So we visited Casual Havana for some food and things like that. The
My
video
favorite
got
Cuban restaurant.
140,000 views
Nice.
in a very short amount of time. So then I go back and we tried a few more. The other ones were getting 20, 30,000. So all good investment for not a lot of money, great return. So then I'm comfortable saying to the rest of the business owners in that area, this is a good person with whom to work. I don't want to recommend someone that we haven't tried and that we haven't been able to prove has a really good following for here, because it's a relevant following and an engaged following, right? Which is what marketing is all about.
What are some of the events that you've done and some of the marketing that you've done with the Hackensack?
We've been doing this for years. We used to do a really cool street festival.
It was huge.
We had thousands and thousands of people.
Upwards of 20,000.
We haven't done in years. I'd love to start that again. We used to do a business expo as we were building up to try to generate interest among local businesses to come and join us. Today we do something called the Sacktoberfest, which is like a beer garden event.
Awesome.
Which John did a great job on the last couple of years. I know there's talks about bringing a marathon back to Main Street. I think that would be awesome. I would love to do that. We have a new performing arts center, which we got.
Yep.
I guess we were able to get that here about 5 years ago. I'm not 100% sure. That's doing great. It's called the Hack Pack, which is awesome. So there's a lot of really cool things happening.
And it brings feet to the street. There's the outdoor spaces that have been developed around the downtown that are great.
And John has brought in these really cool lifelike bronze sculptures.
We're trying to bring art. We're trying to bring, and it came from, I arranged for an article about the greatest things to see. And they said, give us 10 things. And I'm like, well, I got 5, and which is a really good start. And then I really had my direction for the rest of the year on, okay, now we have to come up with some extra other ones. So some sculptures, some new events. We have new programs called Art on Main, where we're taking the art from the Hack Pack and the Johnson Public Library and the galleries they have. Instead of it going away, it's going to get filtered through the commercial and residential.
Do you see how amazing this is? Because if you didn't have a office such as yours, or organization such as yours, this wouldn't happen in the downtown, which wouldn't increase the property values and the way that people see the downtown and the energy of the downtown. Is there a number that we can put on how bids increase property values?
That's a great question.
It's a good question. I don't know.
We're all like, we don't know.
What I can say is I can tell you there's different things to watch out for or visuals to see if things are changing. So for instance, our downtown when we started didn't have a lot of residential. So one of the things we did is we had the business improvement district led the fight, so to speak, or the challenge to redo the zoning to allow developers to come in on an easy level, in theory, and build residential, because residential and apartments together, that's the way to go for downtowns today. So once that started happening, once these buildings started open, you would start to see families walking down the streets. And then my favorite one, and John, I'm sure you're going to laugh at this, is all the landlords started complaining about the dog poop everywhere. And then I was like, yes, I love dog poop. I really don't. But the fact is that when people are walking their dogs, that means they have disposable income.
Yep.
And they're out. It means they're out on the streets.
Picking up a cup of coffee, going to...
The big thing people look for when you're a retailer is foot traffic.
Yes.
And we didn't have the foot traffic before. And it's just so cool, It's just like when you have a kid and you see them every day, you don't notice that they grew 2 inches taller. Like, you have to watch this stuff. And for being in this district for so long and seeing these subtle changes, like I would just sit there at a restaurant. Let's say I was out at an outdoor cafe, which we didn't have at all in the beginning, and now they're popping up more and more. And sitting there and watching, and all of a sudden I'd see like a mom and a baby stroller.
Yep.
And then I would just pause and I would start cracking up, and people are like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "We didn't have that here 2 years ago." Like, this is major stuff. And as an investor, if you can get in on these trends of being involved with the business improvement districts, it's absolutely amazing. And I also think it's a great strategy for people that have a downtown and don't have that action or that excitement there, and they want to go and create something.
I can't tell you how many other special improvement districts have reached out to me. Just going, wow, you guys are doing some really good stuff. And can you share that? And I'm all for sharing. And I found when I first got here, I went to some other special improvement districts across the country and made friends with people.
Yeah.
And the idea is like, hey, what's the easiest and least expensive, most effective outdoor event that you do? So we're going to be holding salsa socials on 4 different occasions.
That's fun.
It's great, and doesn't cost a whole lot of money, and it's very engaging for people, and there's a host of other things that we're going to be doing like that.
Something that Newark did that I loved being a part of was they had a downtown living tour. So we did a huge downtown living tour where we got buses to take people around to all of the different condos and apartment buildings and leases that were up, because downtown Newark is exploding with a lot of apartment buildings, just like Hackensack is. But then they also went to the art galleries and they went to the different restaurants, and you could do a loop. And we did a loop for a whole day. We had thousands of people come just to see how it would be to live in downtown Newark. And I think that's great for different places such as Hackensack that are just teeming with new living opportunities.
Well, you just hit the nail on the head with the word new, right? So everybody, whether, I don't care if it's a developer from somewhere or a business or who knows, you say Hackensack, and very often what they're imagining is something that's at least 5 years old. So I'm spending most of my time, and I don't care if it's with the press or really with anybody that'll listen, telling them about the dramatic change that's happened here. And when you start listing it, we just fixed a big monster press release that's about to go out. Last year was a lot of, we hope to do this, we hope to do that. I got to tell you something, I'm really proud of the list of accomplishments that we've done, and that's just a testament of how everybody's got the same vision, working together. Everybody's got the same vision as a goal. Of course, there's people want to take different paths to get there, but
Hackensack is back.
Yeah, no doubt.
And one of the really big things I think we should talk about is Hackensack in, I guess, what was it, the 20s, 30s, and 40s was really amazing. And and I read somewhere that the rents in downtown Hackensack were better than Madison Avenue in New York City. And
we're
higher per square foot, and people from New York City used to come shop in Hackensack. So just having that as a base was friggin' really cool. But one of the things that happened that I think killed our downtown was somewhere in the 70s when we used to have this 2-way street. They turned it into a 1-way street. And, we joke it's like 1 way out. It was like, just get out of Hackensack. And I think they did that to change the traffic flow patterns. But over the course of our timing and learning about the downtowns, we learned that a downtown street, they have grades like A through F, I think. And downtown streets, you want them to be like Fs when it comes to traffic, because you want the cars to go super slow so people can look around and see what's going on. A highway is supposed to be like an A. And we turned our downtown. People were driving down there like 50 miles an hour.
Sure, yeah.
It was craziness. So part of the things that our business improvement district did is we were able to convince, we had studies upon studies upon studies and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars getting proof that turning it back to a two-way street would be the way to go. And we did this during COVID, and the city council agreed with us, and they turned it back to a two-way street. And I think
and it's a lot better as a two-way street.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot better.
I don't feel any negativity from it at all. I think we never should have changed it to begin with.
Yeah, no, it's great.
No doubt. It's a whole new field.
Yeah.
So I am an investor. I want to invest in a town, a city, wherever. How do I find out if there is a bid?
I mean, if you call City Hall, any City Hall even that I've called, to see if there's, they're happily provide that list to you. You can also search for special improvement districts, New Jersey or whatever, and you'll see the list that comes up. Not as organized as you'd think if for looking for a national list, but state by state.
You have the International Downtown Association, and they do have a very comprehensive list, IDA.org. Okay. So you can go there too.
I don't think the average person would know. If you Google, is that going to come up?
If you Google International Downtown Association, they come up.
Okay. Because I don't think I've ever Googled it, but I think it would be a great place to start. I know that John focuses a lot on making sure our internet presence is strong. I know you've redone our website, downtownhackensack.org.
Yeah.
Downtownhackensack.org.
Yeah, Downtown Hackensack. And we launched an app to let everybody pick, dine.
There's an app for that.
Or something like that. And so that's doing really well. We're putting together discount programs for the students and the hospital workers and all those things. Just trying to get everybody on the same page. Really, that's all.
It's really, a bid is just a roadmap to making money and success. It's not always an easy path, but you have to make it happen, and you have to be persistent and be willing to put in the time. And I can tell you, our Hackensack downtown has never looked better. And I hope people listen to this and think about how they can get involved. And we need really cool, new, exciting new businesses to come join the cool new ones that we have now. And it's sky's the limit here.
So first, I want to say that everyone should subscribe, and share comments, because if they ask you some questions, we'll get them over to you, and we'll make sure that they're responded to. So everyone, click that button. But what if the downtown that I want to invest in does not have a BID or a SID, a special improvement district or a business improvement district, and I want to lobby to have one? What would I do? How do you start it?
So interestingly, I did some research on when I first got here on that, and if there's a couple of it's not like it takes a whole army of people. It can be a block of people, and say, hey, you know what? This is really great. We appreciate all the services you're doing for us, Mr. Mayor. Or Mrs. Mayor, yes. But we have this special area. We need some special attention. And we're not just sitting back saying, you take care of it. We're willing to do that. We're willing to help pay for it.
Right.
But we'd like to have this formed. And there's plenty of documentation on how to form and how to start that.
Awesome.
And it's actually really
grassroots community. We've done it. I didn't start the one that's
you
in
You
Hackensack,
were very early on, though, right?
I think I was 3 years out, and I helped expand it twice. So I think it's instrumental in knowing who your council are, knowing the people that are running your city, building a relationship with them, trying to get them to see the same visions that you have. And then once you accomplish that, it should be relatively easy.
Are there any times where a BID or a SID just doesn't make sense? Like, you don't want it, don't touch it, don't look at it, it's bad for this area? That's crazy.
I've spoken to some people in, let's say, some really established towns. They're going, you know what? We sort of nailed it. There's no benefit to it. You look at different towns. They already have a very involved board. They already have a very involved zoning. Then everybody's already on the same page, and the entire town gets the same level of service. You could argue that's not
there
really.
Not many of those, are there?
There's not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot.
But see, what John does is he is, downtowns are like the heart of a city.
Yep.
And downtown Hackensack the better that gets. The city of Hackensack has over 47,000 residents in it. So the better that downtown gets, the better that heart gets, the stronger the city is. And we talked about property values. The property values will be increased all over the city from what happens through the heart of the city. So while there may be some cities that don't think they need a business improvement district, we're not just about improving the actual scenery. What John does is he actually makes a community. He makes things happen. He creates an art place. He creates a flow with the people. He creates like an environment. And if a city doesn't have someone creating that, or a position that like community affairs, creation for events and stuff, then you need a bid. It doesn't have to be as detailed, but you definitely need one. I think it's great to have, and I think we should keep it forever.
I think so too. I mean, I can't see an end.
Yeah.
Whenever I put a list together of all the things I need to accomplish, there's never. I always need another sheet of paper.
Well, also you said it has like 46,000 residents, but then the daytime population must hop up to like
over,
what, 100,000, if not more.
Be over 100. I don't know since
from
COVID,
people working,
but we're constantly getting. I mean, how many new apartments do we have now? Over 6,000 or something.
Wow.
And there's another 1,200 or so coming online just before the next 18 months or something.
And more to come. We're working on a bunch of projects right now that are still not public, so it's exciting.
Really quickly, money. Do you give grants? How can I get a grant? How can I get the money?
So, great question. So we have different types of grants. We have storefront grants. If you want to fix the facade,
great.
If you're a new business and you're coming in and going, this whole outside needs a facelift, we have a grant process for that. We have a visual improvement committee. It's not me that just decides stuff. So we say, listen, we need 2 sets of bids. We need different pictures and things before and afters. We also have a sign grant for businesses that have been around for a while and just say, you know what, I need a refresh, and we'll help them do that. Some of the things, if you were to see some of the before and after pictures on Main Street, they're just tremendous. The amount of money that's going, and I think that's really a testament as to how people feel about what's happening here. They're not only just putting up a new little sign, they are completely gutting the inside of their restaurants. They're trying to do so as quickly as possible, complete new facades outside. There's a lot of really exciting things happening.
They're putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, I like that.
And nobody would do that unless they thought they'd be a decent return.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the things that helped us get to where we are is there were some young investors, myself, there's a guy, Jerry Lombardo, there's a guy, Eddie Decker, and I remember the 3 of us at different times doing some really cool, unique projects, spending more money than the normal, and that, I think, was a start, but in theory, most people won't spend that money until they see the area is improving. So I think a bid will give people confidence to put the investment in.
And just as a final point, I had someone looking to move to the area, and there was 2 spots, pretty much equal. One was inside the bid, and one was outside the bid.
Not equal. The inside the bid wins.
Okay, so every single time. And he looked at it, he says, I'm deciding between here and there. And I'm like, well, if you go there, I can't help you. I'd love to. You'll fully take advantage of everything we're doing here, but I can't make my grant available to you. I can't do those types of things. So move 100 yards, and you get countless amount of hours and dollars.
And there's so many. And to talk about the help, I know we just started a program with a new bank that we use, and they're offering First Bergen. They're offering all kinds of incentives and certain types of loan programs to help our members.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So First Bergen in Hackensack, it's great. You work. What John is doing is he's working with the local businesses to try to make improvements and help the people that are there. So it's great stuff going on, John.
Yeah, a lot.
Any final tips, tricks, special voodoo that you can give business investors or a business owner, real estate investors or business owners?
So right after the comment of make sure you find something or invest in something that's in a bid,
right?
Make sure you take advantage of it, because there are folks that will come and get involved, and they're knocking on my door 2-3 times a week, and happy to chat with them and help. And I'm sitting there and I'm helping it with their opening, and I feel like sometimes I'm really a part of their business. And then you have other people where you talk to them and they're like, I'm so busy, I can't get to it. Well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense
You
either, right?
snooze, you lose.
You're never too busy to get thousands upon thousands of dollars worth of services.
And if you wait until you actually, it's an emergency and you need it, it's a little late at that point, right? So just make it a part of your normal operating process is what I was saying.
Just invest in areas with business districts.
Yes.
And business districts will bring you money. They will bring you success in real estate. I am all about it. It's been a great ride. I've done it in many different cities in New Jersey, and I will keep doing it. And I'm going to teach my children and whoever else wants to hear it. that
Everyone out there.
The business district is the way to go.
Awesome.
No doubt.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Great
Thanks so
job.
much. No, it was
Thanks,
great.
John.
Great.
For watching this episode. Now don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And we'll see you next time.